So what I'm showing you here is an example of a very straightforward floor plan that you can use if you're interested, or if you like some ideas here and you want to borrow and um, build on that, that's totally fine. But I want to show you how you would get started on a floor plan like this. Now, I can provide you some dimensions if you'd like to use that, but I want you to get a feel for what it will take to draw all this out. I have some layers in here, and I have additional layers because I use this to print out for all of you. So you're going to see some extra layers in here, but I want to show you how to start a drawing like this so that you can get started on your floor plan. Now, I'm going to zoom out for a second because I also did this. I went ahead and drew this rectangle here so that I knew what my property size was going to be and the relationship of my building to that property. And what's nice here is I can take that property and I can just click and drag it and move it around and put my building either towards the front or put my building towards the back like this. And my decision was to place it, I don't know, maybe somewhere on my property, somewhere like this, and leave a little bit of room on the side. I was thinking of either a separate pergola, maybe out here, but I was also thinking of an attached like deck over here. So these are just some ideas that I was having. And again, you're welcome to borrow this if you'd like, but I'm going to take this rectangle now and basically just delete it because it has served its purpose. This is the floor plan, or when you get your floor plan started, this is what you'll be using, and you'll be bringing that into the site plan, and it's going to be brought in as an external reference, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the appropriate time. Now, this floor plan is not quite finished, so if you want to borrow this, you're welcome to. You just need to put in some windows and maybe some doors, make some modifications. The furniture, you can see, I brought that in as blocks. I am also going to be providing you with a bathroom layout that you will then use. That way you don't have to draw any of this. And then I will also provide you with the fixtures so you have those available to you. And then on the doors, I want you to see something. I've gone ahead and made these what are referred to as dynamic blocks. So this door, I can have it either swing out or swing in. It's my choice. This door here, let me tap the escape key, click on this one. You can see I have this door. I can either have it swing open to the left, swing open to the right, or I can have it swing out or swing in. That's a dynamic block. And I want to show you how to make that if I haven't done that already. So there's some nice things here. The blocks that you'll use, you'll see, like this toilet, it is already set and it has an alignment tool or an alignment feature. So I can take that and let's say I want to align it somewhere to, let's say this wall. You'll see how it will flip. Let me turn ortho off. You can see how it's following the wall, and then I would just have to mirror it if it didn't flip on its own like that. So that's the alignment feature that I'm able to use there. So the blocks that I'll provide you will have some dynamic features, but I also want you to know how to do that on your own. So let's do this. I'm going to start a new drawing, and I'll show you how to get started with a plan like this. So go ahead and go back to Start. And from Start, go ahead and click on the drop down New. If you haven't set up your template already, you can just use the ACAD template, format your units. Otherwise, jump straight into the HWC drawing template. Here we go. And then from here, it's blank. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I can start drawing some lines. So let me just borrow some of the dimensions that I used. Oh yeah, before I continue, make sure that you save this as with the appropriate file name, and it will have the X plan in it. And the reason we use an X is because this will be externally referenced, and that should make sense when we start using external references. So save the drawing with the appropriate file name. Once you do that, then let's go ahead and begin drawing. Now, I don't have any layers, but watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go back over here to this drawing, and I'm just going to do a dimension check. I'm going to type DI, enter. And let's see, how long did I make this wall? And it might be different. The dimensions might vary a little bit from what you see here versus what I provide, but you'll understand. So I'm going 40 feet in this direction, and then up here, I'm going 28 feet. So I'm going to go back to this drawing, and I'm just going to draw a line, L, enter, start it from 0, 0, take it across this way, 40 feet, enter, enter. It fell off the screen. That's okay. Right click, repeat the line. Started at 0, 0. I know I could have used the endpoint, but that's all right. Go up in this direction, and I'll say 28 feet. Enter, enter. And with that drawn, I will now type Z, enter, E, enter. And that gives me the extent of my drawing. So basically, that is the footprint, more or less, of that floor plan that I'm showing you as an example. Now, yes, this is set back, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but I have a general footprint. I've not included these steps. Oh, and by the way, all of you, it will be a requirement that you raise your building off of the ground there by 1 foot 6 inches. We're doing that for two reasons. Number one, because typically in Chicago, buildings are elevated, and sometimes they have basements underneath, but we're going to ignore the basement. And number two, because I want you to know how to put stairs in plan and in elevation. So just on a quick side note right now, these are my stairs. And if I look at this, this down here represents the ground. Give me 1 second. Let me do this and this and this. Okay. So this area right here is going to represent ground. And then I'm going to be taking a step up. When I take a step up, I'll be stepping right here. And this is what we refer to as the tread of the stair. The line that you see here, that is the riser. So I've gone up 6 inches. And then I step here, and that's going up another 6 inches. So now I'm 12 inches off the ground. And then another 6 inches here puts me at 18. So that's 1 foot 6. So just imagine taking those steps up, up, up to get there. This is how it's represented in plan view for the stairs. So this line here represents a riser. This line here also a riser, and this one as well. And between the risers, we have what are called the treads. That's what we step on. And those treads typically are 12 inches or so. I'll do a quick measure here and show you. Yeah, I made it 1 foot. So yeah, make it 1 foot, you'll be okay. All right, that's just on a side note. Let me get back to the drawing here and let's chat. So I have layers in here, and my layer properties manager, you can see that. So I want to start dropping the layers into my drawing. I'm going to start creating them. So I'll go over here, and sorry, let me go back to my example. Okay, what are we going to focus on? You don't need to put in the furniture yet if you don't want to. Really, our focus right now is going to be on the walls and on this layer called A-plan. And the A-plan is yellow, and everything that's related to the plan except for the walls goes on this layer. So here, if I turn that layer off, you can see what goes away. And you'll notice the walls are closed off. So you have to make sure that you have done this in your drawing. And then we come back in and we cover up those openings with our doors and our windows, and then we put in our fixtures. So those two layers, the A walls, architectural walls, and yes, the A stands for architecture, and then our architectural plan information. And if you want to call this wall, that's fine. It doesn't have to be plural. So A wall, A plan. So I'll go back over here, and I'll go to my layer properties manager, click here. That layer first is going to be the A wall, and I like to make them all caps. And I'll drop in another layer, and this will be my A plan. And then I come over here, and the color for the A wall was red, because when I go to print, I want red to print heavy, but not as heavy as the magenta color. So I'll okay that. And then the plan layer, I make that one yellow, because I wanted to print somewhat of a lighter line compared to the red color here. So I'll do that. All right. Now I can go ahead and set my layer like this. And the two lines that I drew, I can just use a crossing window like this and just place them on that layer, and I'm all set. Tap the escape key, and now I'm going to draw a line over here, take it straight up. I'm tracking. I have O-Track on. I'll click here, and then I'll just click over here. Now my building is not this closed rectangle. If you make yours that way, fine, great. I'm just doing things a little different to show you some techniques here. All right, so I'll go back to my example, and you can see that I'm set back. So how far am I set back? I'll do a quick distance check here, and 4 feet back. If you want to make it different, by all means, more than welcome to. So what I'll do first is I'll just type O for offset, and I'll offset 4 feet, enter. I'll take this line, offset it that way, and enter. But what about this distance down here? I'll go back to my example, and I'll check that distance. So I'll go back to measure, and I'll do distance from here to there. And it's 1610. You can make it more or less. I'm just using these values to, change things up a little bit. And by the way, if this was a masonry wall, we would want it to be an exact number or rounded to the nearest 4-inch increment, because that's the brick module, but that's on a side note. So 1610 it is. I'll come over here, type O, enter, 16 feet 10, enter. Take this line, offset it up, and enter. And now it's just a matter of trimming, or I'm sorry, using the fillet command. F for fillet, enter. My radius currently set to 0, and I know I want to do multiple fillets, so I'm going to type M, enter. I select this line, then this one, and I'm just going to go around picking lines like that, and enter, or escape. So that gives me the shape that I want. Now I do have my door back here coming in set back because I wanted to have a return here by the refrigerator. I didn't want the door right up against it. But if you want to keep your door flush, that's fine too. Nothing wrong with that. These are just examples. This is what I mean about not focusing too much on the design. Just get some information in there so you can practice putting in doors, putting in windows, putting in the fixtures, all of that. But here's what I wanted to show you. This exterior wall, for our purposes, we're going to keep it a generic wall thickness. I don't know what material you want to use, and it's not that important right now in what we're doing. What matters is that you know how to make the walls. But I want to take into account the fact that this could be brick or maybe it's not brick. So I'm going to land somewhere in the middle, and I'll just do a quick check on the measurements here, what I put in. And, I can't find it. It went away. Where is it? It's over here somewhere. Okay, where is it showing me that distance? Wow, it does not want to show me. It shows me 40 feet, but I want to know what the width is. There we go. That shows me 8 inches. So I made it 8 inches. And what about over here? That's also 8. And real interesting that I cannot see the 8 inches there, and that's okay. So we're going with an 8-inch wall. There we go. Showing it to me there and there. All right, so 8 inches. Now, I'll go back to this drawing. I'm going to show you 2 ways of doing this. Both of them are valid. Example 1, how to offset this 8 inches. I'm going to type in O, enter, 8, enter, and I'm just going to go around, picking my lines, offsetting them like this to the inside. Like that. Okay, step 2 here then is going to be to fillet. And let me show you a little trick on that also. Let's see, I'll zoom in right here. And I'm going to type in F, enter, and then there's a hidden command that nobody talks about. C for crossing, and enter. And I click here and here, and it's going to use a crossing window, and it's going to fillet the corner, and it's going to keep the 2 long ends. Once I click, like that, done. I'll see if I can do the same thing here, but I might run into a problem. So I'm going to try F, enter, C, enter. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to try to do this. Is it going to work? No. 1 second. F, enter, C, enter, like this. No, see, it did something strange. So that won't work there. So in this case, I will have to type just F, enter, and fill at these corners. And then over here, F, enter, C, enter, crossing, done. So let me finish this off. And by the way, on my keyboard, I have my hand right over the F and the C. So I type F, and then my thumb hits the space bar, and then my finger types or hits the C, and then I hit the space bar. So this goes real quick. Watch this. Let me do that again. Here we go. Done. One day I just challenged myself. How fast can I do that? So FC, done. So that's one way of getting all of the walls in there. Let me show you another way. And it might be quicker or it might not be. I don't know. So I'm going to take all of these, just delete them. Highlight them like this. Tap my delete key, and then 3 more lines. Delete those. Okay, so let's say this is what I have. Watch this. I'm going to type J for join, and I'm going to select all of my lines and enter. And now I have made a closed polyline. Now I type O, enter, 8 inches, yes, and I enter. And then I select the polyline, and I offset it to the inside. And then I enter to terminate the command. And then the last thing I do is I explode both of these polylines because I want them to be individual line segments. So X, enter, pick 1, pick 2, and enter. And that gets me started with the shell of my building. Now, you don't have to do it this way. There are so many other ways to construct it, but I just had the footprint laid out, or I knew what I wanted to do with the footprint, and that's how I started. But there's nothing stopping you from starting on the corner over here, offsetting some lines and offsetting some more to get to the other side, and trimming and extending and using the fill command, whatever works best. All right. Let me continue here with some of the interior walls. I'm just going to put this one in for now. And like I said, you'll have the bathroom plan to use. You'll need to explode it, but you will need to put in the walls as well. So over here, it gets real interesting because this is an 8-inch wall, but when we come to the inside, the interior walls, let's see if I can measure those. Yeah, they're going to be 5 inches. So if I move over here, you'll see 5 inches on the interior walls. That's typical because you have drywall on both sides, wood stud in the middle, and we go with a nominal dimension of 5. The actual dimension is probably going to be like 4 7/8, but nobody wants to offset 4 7/8. It's much easier to offset 5 and be done. So 5 it is. Go back to my drawing. And then from here, all I'm going to do is take this line and basically just take it all the way across. I'm going to use Shift right click and go perpendicular and click right there. Tap the escape key. Then I'm going to type O, enter, 5, enter, and I'm offsetting this line up. And then I'll just come in here and I'll fill it. It's already at 0. Take care of that. Come over to the other side and just trim this out. And enter, tap the space bar. There we go. And then make sure you're saving and saving often. So Control S. Also, this UCS icon, a little refresher here. I don't want it there. When I made my HWC template, I never moved it. So I have to do that now. So I'm going to type in UCS origin. Sorry, UCS icon. There we go. And I'm going to say no origin. So now it docks it in the lower left-hand corner, but this is still my 0, 0. So this is the start of my floor plan. And if I go back over here, I have some lines that represent this opening, and that's a soffit above. Let me show you how to put that in. So how wide is this opening? I'll just do a quick measure. And by the way, you can see how my lines are not joining here. I wasn't done with this. I was in the middle of making some changes to prepare to show you. So apologies for that. I'm doing a distance check, DI, from here to there. I've got 8'3". And then how far back is it from the wall? I'm going to do a distance check here as well. And I'm at about 11.5 That's an odd dimension. I might just round that to 11.5 and be done. So you always want to avoid those 1/2 and 1/4 inch dimensions inside and outside of your buildings. For the most part, on the outside, you want these to be whole numbers, whole feet. And if you're using inches, then round to the nearest full inch. And typically you want to round off to the nearest, let's say, even inch. So 2 or 4 or 6 or 8. But definitely, round off if you can, nearest foot. After that, to the nearest 1.5 feet, so nearest 6 inches. And then after that, you can use incremental inches, but keep them, for the most part, even numbers. All right, sorry to digress. Let's go back over here. Let me just do a distance check from here to there. All right, 11.5. I'll make it an even 11.6. That's easy for me to remember. So I'll go back over here. Now, I can offset the line, and I've already been doing that. So let's go a different route here to show you other examples. I'm going to type L, enter. Using my tracking, hover, pause, move the cursor over, let it track. And I want to track an overall distance of 11 feet, 6, enter. So it's going to put it right there. And then I want to take it straight up. And at this point, I feel that I'm going to be using perpendicular a bit. So I'm going to come down here to my object snap settings, and I'm just going to turn on perpendicular. But I have to be so careful that it doesn't snap to anything else and give me some error messages. So got to keep my eyes open. So perpendicular is turned on. Come back to my drawing, and then I'll click here. That gives me perpendicular and escape. And then the distance I had over here, check it again, distance, 8'3". I think I'm going to round that up to 8'4". So just come over here and I'm going to do another line so I can practice this object tracking. Hover and slowly move away. It tracks, and now type in 8'4", enter, and then let it go up here. Now watch, by accident, it could track a different object snap, like here, for example. That'll go perpendicular, but look at that. It can also snap perpendicular. This is what I mean. So be careful with all that. So perpendicular and click, click and tap the escape key. So that's going to give me the opening. And then I'm going to type TR, enter, to trim. And I'm just going to click and drag like this. And it gives me this fence line. I release, I'm all done. That's nice to do that. So that gives me the opening that I'm looking for here. So back to my example. I want to show you something here. When I click on this line, you'll see that the properties on that is -2. And then if I go over to the properties window, there's -2. And then my line type scale here, I set it to 24. So remember, you can adjust those line type scales. So time to load in that -2 line type or any of the dash line types. So I'll go back to my drawing. I go to my drop down here for my line types. I click on other. From here, I want to load. When I load, I'm looking for dashed or -2 or X2, your preference, because you'll be able to control the line type scale anyway. So I'll go with this one, click OK, click OK. I'm going to make the plan layer current. And then I'm going to, well, let's see, I'll leave it for now. I'll just draw a line. L, enter, from here to there, enter, enter again to continue. All set. And I like to move it over to the side because I know I'm going to open up properties. So I want to be able to see it. So I select the two lines, come over here to the properties, and I didn't change the line type before, so I'll change it here. So the line type, I want it to be -2. It's showing me the change, and now I just need to adjust the line type scale. And like I said before, I started out with this number 12. That seems to be a little big. So let's see, if I double the number to 24, it's getting bigger. So I want to go in the opposite direction. So instead of going up, I'm going to go down. So I'll go to 6, and that looks better. Tap the escape key. And that's how you're going to get your line types in there, or the changes. Remember, you always have to load line types, just like you have to create new layers, because they're not part of this template that we're using. Now's a good time also. You've done some more drawing. Control S, save it. You don't want to lose anything. And then I'll go back over here. And I'd like to show you how to drop in the doors and some other things here. And that's going to require me to digress a little bit here. And I want to go back to, I'm going to insert the block. Actually, no. I think I want to pause and talk a little bit about the doors that I'm going to be bringing in. So I do want to put the doors in, just like I have the doors in over here. And I want to bring them in as blocks. You've made the blocks, but we've not made them into dynamic blocks. And now's a good time to pause and make the dynamic block. That way, when we bring it in, we're ready to use it. And I want you to notice something on this dynamic block. There's the insertion point. It's right in the middle of the door frame there. And then I have the arrow here. Let me just quickly show you what this block looks like. I'm going to right click it because it's already selected, and I'm going to click on Block Editor. And in Block Editor, you see that I have something here called a flip state, which I'm going to put in. And I also have something over here called a base point that I put in to make sure that that was going to be the base point. So this is what I want to assemble now. So I'm going to close this Block Editor. And then I opened up my doors, the drawing file here, and I want to now take this block, or actually I don't have it as a block, so let me go ahead and from scratch give this a go. And I do have these as polylines. Okay, that's okay, that's okay. All good, that's a polyline, great. So time to make my block. So I'm going to type B, enter, and I'm going to type in the name over here. This is going to be a door dash double. And the overall width is 30. I know it's a 36-inch door, each one. So 36 times 2 is 72. So double door 72 is what I'm going to go with. And then I do want to pick a base point. So I'm going to go with pick point. And I'll just pick this point here, for example. And then I want to select my objects. So I click on select objects, and I pick all of the objects here, and I enter. Everything else looks good. I'm not giving a description, and then I'm just going to click OK. Now, I could go straight to Open in Block Editor, so let me do that, and then click OK. So this is taking me straight to Block Editor, and from here, I want to add the dynamic properties. So there's a palette. You can see here where it says Authoring Palette. It's already on, and I want to move it into view. So there we go. And in the authoring palette here, we have what are called parameters and actions. And we want to make sure that we add parameters first and then we add actions. It's almost like giving it a noun and then giving that noun an action. So dog, run, person, walk, you know, make some inanimate object and give them action. So I need to go to my parameters here, and I need to add this alignment parameter first. So I'm going to click on alignment. And then from there, wait, is it alignment? No, sorry. apologies, it is flip. So I want to click on flip, and it says, okay, where do you want that base point to be? And this is where I start to use my tracking because I want it to start somewhere here exactly in the middle. So I want to go from this end over, and I know that the end of the arc there, if I come straight down, that's where I want it to begin. So I click, and then I'm going to take it straight across, and I think I'll run it all the way to the midpoint here like that. And then it says, where do you want the name? So I'll just put the name somewhere here. And that's where it drops in the flip state. You notice the arrow goes in right where I pick the point. So that takes care of the flip state parameter. Now I have to give it an action. So in the action, I need to look for the flip action. So I give it a click, and then it says select the parameter. So the parameter is going to be the flip state here. And then it says immediately after that, looking at the command line, specify selection set for the action. So when you flip, what are the objects that are going to be part of this action? And it's going to be all of my objects here like this. And then I will enter. Then I forgot one little thing, and that was my base point. But that's all right. Let's test this out. So from here, there is an option to test the block. I come over here, and it's block editor. It's the open and save section, and I go over to test block. And when I test block, it just takes me right in to this window that is a testing window, and I can click on it, and you can see how it will flip like that. And you'll notice where my base point is. So I don't need to add the base point. I think I'm going to be okay. However, maybe I do want a base point right here so that I can pick that point along the edge of the wall. So I'll close my test block up here, and I'll go back here, and I'll go to my parameters, and I'm going to see about a base point. So I'll click on base point. It says adds a base point parameter to the block definition. So base point, and I know that I want it to be right here, so I'm going to hover, track straight down, hover at this midpoint, track straight across, and give it a click right there at that intersection. So that's the base point that I want. Now I'll go back and test my block. And I'm in test mode. I click on it, and I don't see that parameter. Interesting. I'll have to check it. But looks like it's working. So I'm going to close my test block. And then I'm still in my block editing space. So I'm going to close the block editor. Save the changes. Yes, save the changes. Okay. And this is my block. And if I click on it, there it is. It showed up. There's the base point. Great. Now I want to use this block in my floor plan. And in order to do that, I have to save this drawing first. So I will save. Changes are saved. And then I'll go back to my drawing. Now, I've shown you before, you can go to Insert, and then you go to Insert, and you can go to Recent Blocks. I'm just doing a refresher here. From this refresher, I've been using blocks, recent blocks here. So let me go to my Libraries tab. From here, I go to the Libraries icon. And then I look for my doors. And I click Open. Pause for a moment while it loads the doors. And you'll see that this is showing that it is a dynamic block with that icon there. Looks like a flash or lightning. And all I'm going to do is give it one click and then bring it in and just place it right here. So tapping the escape key, I've got my block and I'm all set to go. But if you don't mind, I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to undo this. I just wanted to do a little refresher on how to bring it in. But we're making progress here in AutoCAD. So a couple of other ways I can bring it in. This is the really, really quick way. I select it and I can, let's see, where did it go? I can go back home and I can come over here and I can say from the clipboard, I can say copy clip. So it's going to copy it to the clipboard. There we go. And it says copy with base point. I don't need that. I just want to do a copy clip. And then I can go back to my drawing and then I can say paste. And I'm going to paste it in. Just a simple, straightforward paste like that. Brings it in. And when I take a look at it, same as if I had brought it in the other way. And if I look at the properties, it tells me there's the door name, great, and it is a block reference. So copy and paste works. But let me show you another way. That might seem a little bit longer, but I just want you to be aware of it. So let me undo this and undo that. So the other way is this. There is, under the View tab, there's an icon over here, and it's this one in the Palettes panel, and it is called Design Center. Keyboard shortcut AD Center. So click on that and give it a moment on my screen to come up. I want to make sure it's not somewhere else hiding. Let's click on that again. Sorry. And why are you not opening up? 1 second. It looks like I'm locking up here, so let me tap the escape key. And I may have gone too far, because now I'm really locked in or locked up. Ah, there we go. Sorry, that took a moment. Not sure why. Okay, I clicked on the icon, Design Center, and this is what opens up. This is a very old-fashioned or older way of doing things, but I use this only when I have the drawing open, because I come over here to open drawings. And from open drawings, it shows me what I have open. And there are my door, or that's the door drawing. I can expand that. And from that door drawing, I can go into the blocks. And then I can see that I have my 3 blocks. And then I'm just going to move this down a second. Let's see, move it down like this. And then I can click, drag, and drop. And that brings in the block. So those are 3 different ways of doing it. Pick whichever one you like. I just want to show you all so you're familiar with it. And another thing too, by the way, if I go to open drawings and let's see this sample X plan that I have open, you see this? Here are the layers. And these are all the layers I have. So right now in the drawing, I basically just have my walls layer and my plan layer. But check this out. Let's go to, which one? The stair layer. Yes. Now watch this. If I come back to my drawing, I go home, I only have 2 layers. You see that? Now watch this. I click on this layer, I right click it, and I say add layer, and it will bring a layer in to my drawing from another drawing file. This is what they called, I don't know if they still do, it was called data mining. So you're borrowing information data from one file, bringing it over to another. So that's how you can bring that in. Another way to bring a layer in, let me go ahead and bring in this furniture layer. I just give it a double click, I look at my layers, and there it is. And then another way, this hatch layer, if I just click, drag, drop, and now that layer is part of my drawing file here. All right, I'll close this out. If you ever need it again, you just type in AD Center. Don't even type the whole thing. Just let it find AD Center, click on it, and there you go. So it's a little hidden treasure. All right, I digressed a little bit here. Let's go back and get the door in place. So I'm going to rotate the door, and it's easy. It's a block. I'll just select it, click here, and then right click and go to rotate, and rotate like that. Tap the escape key. And then I know I want it to be centered on the opening. Now, do I want it centered on the outside? Because that would be the midpoint. Or do I want it centered on the inside? Your call. For me right now, I think I'm going to have it centered on the inner wall. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to type M, enter, select my object, enter, pick that point, which I know is in the middle, and then just come right over here and pick the midpoint of my wall, like that. It's not positioned right yet, and that's okay. Now, I'm going to come up here to make current. I'm going to make this layer current, and then I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to draw a line, L, enter, and it looks like these two lines are coplanar, so I'll take advantage of that. Click here, let it go perpendicular, click, tap the enter key or the space bar, come down over here, right click, repeat line, click here, perpendicular over there, and enter. And now what I'm going to do is turn off this layer because I want to show you something. So that's the opening. It's not an opening yet. I need to make it an opening. So I'm going to type TR, enter, and I'm just going to click once, and then click over here, and then enter using the space bar. And then I'll bring that layer back. I can come over here to layers, and I can say previous layer state. It remembers that that layer was on. And then from here, scroll down or zoom down to the bottom, click on the door, click on this grip point, the base point, and just bring it over here to the middle. And I've got the door in place. Okay. All right, one question that comes up from a lot of students is the bathroom block. I'm going to make it available so that everybody has access to it, but I don't want you I don't want you to get confused on how to use it. So let me show you here how I'm going to bring it in. So give me 1 second. All right, I'm going to assume that you went to Brightspace and you were able to download it. You have it in your folder. So here goes. I'm going to go to my Insert tab. I go to my Insert dropdown. I go to Blocks from Libraries. From here, I'm going to access my libraries. I'm going to my folder. There it is. And this is the sample bathroom drawing. Open that. I'll go back to my blocks here. It's loading. And you'll see that there's a door. It is a dynamic door. There's a shower here as a block. There's a sink. There's a toilet. I may update the sink. It might be a dynamic block by the time you use it, or maybe not. But what I like to do is just bring the entire sample bathroom in. So I'm just going to click, drag, and drop. And when I do that, it brought in all the information that I wanted. Now you'll see that it looks different than this drawing here. And I'm doing this on purpose because I want all of you to be able to manipulate drawings. So this block right now, I guess what I can do is rotate it. So I'm going to type RO, enter. Any point, doesn't matter. And I'm just going to rotate it this way. And then it looks like I need to mirror this block. So I'm going to type MI, enter. Click on it, enter. And the mirror point doesn't matter. Just somewhere here, mirror it. And then I'll click here. And then it says erase the source object. This is one of the few times where the answer is going to be yes. And you have it. And then from here, you take that block. Let me just tap out of it for a second. You have the block, but you need to explode it. So make sure you type X, enter, and then select and enter. And I'm realizing now that, if I go back to my example, I didn't need to mirror it. I overdid it. So guess what? I'll just type MI, enter, select it, and mirror from here, straight down, erase source, yes, and it's something like that. It's just It looks like it's a matter of the door swing changes. The shower is going to stay the same size. And it looks like there's a closet there that I dropped in. But this is the bathroom information that you could use. And you'll need to modify it. It doesn't mean you just take it and drop it in. No. If you're going to do some design changes, then yeah, you're going to need to modify. But what I could do right now is I know I want to borrow this toilet. I know I want to borrow this sink. And I want the lines here to represent the counter. I'll take the shower. And then I do want this end wall. And I'm just picking these individual line segments like this. And I guess I also want this wall and this one. I'll take that one and that one. I'm basically just nitpicking here, if you will. And now that I have all those selected, I want to keep a copy up here in case I need to reference it. That's just a personal preference, but if you want, go ahead and move it. But everything that's selected there, I'm going to type CO, enter, and I'm going to copy it from this endpoint. I'll take it straight down, and I'm just going to go perpendicular, and then tap the escape key. Now, it's not in the right location. I need to put it in the right location. So if I go back to my drawing, it looks like it's somehow centered in that space. So you'll need to find a way to center it, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. It doesn't matter. Here's some examples of how I might center it. I might draw a line here, over that way, enter. And then I'm going to type M, enter. I'll window everything like this, enter. From this midpoint, bring it over, line it up with that midpoint, take it straight up, and give it a click. It's one way to do it. But then I also want to double check my dimensions. So I'm going to type DI, enter, from this endpoint over to that endpoint. I've got 7, 5.5. You want to keep that dimension? Fine. You want to change it and move it over 6 or half an inch, make it even? That's fine also. I'll right click, do a distance check from here to there. That's 18, 1.5. Maybe I want it to be exactly 18 feet. So watch this. I'll just do the following. L, enter. Track this point over 18 feet, enter. Take it straight up like this. And then M, enter. And I'll move all of my objects like this from this endpoint over that way. I could have typed 1.5 inches, but I prefer this way. And then I erase that line. And I'm all set. Now, it's not exactly centered, but that's okay. I can come back to it later, make some modifications to the opening, make it bigger, make it smaller, whatever I want to do. But that's how you would add that information. And then when it comes to the kitchen appliances, the same thing. You'll bring them in and you'll lay out your kitchen and you'll be all set. So keep in mind, you do have to put in doors, windows, the stairs. And here, how about this? I'll do this real quick here. I'll put in the stairs. And since I'm going to do that, I want to show you something else really neat here. If you already have the layers, I kind of showed you how to do the data mining with the Design Center. I want to show you something else here. Let's go back to the drawing. And just for kicks, I'm going to take this layer, my stair layer, right click it and delete it. There was nothing on that layer, so that's why I'm able to delete. But watch this. I'll go back to my drawing here. I'll just take this line and I'm going to do a control copy. I go over to my drawing and then I do a control V. I don't have to put the line in there. I'm just showing that it's coming in. And then when I tap the escape key, there's no line, but the layer is there. So I tricked AutoCAD, or at least I think I tricked it. It had to bring the layer in so that it can bring the line in. So it's another shortcut to bring layers in. Okay, time to put in the stairs. And let's see, in my example here, I'll do a distance check, DI, enter from here to there. That's 12 feet. So tap the escape key, go over here, and I'll just type O for offset, 12 feet, enter, select this line, offset it that way, enter. I'll take the line, put it on the stair layer, tap the escape key. Let me make sure my stair layer is current, like that. And then type L, enter. Draw a line here, over, let it track. Got it. Escape key, spacebar. We'll repeat the last command, which was line. I click here, click there, spacebar. And then I'm going to do an extend, EX, enter, extending that line over, enter, and then I will offset the tread depth, which is 12 inches. So O, enter, 1 foot, enter, click, and then pick it again, and we're all set. So I start at 0, work my way up 6 inches, work my way up 12 inches, work my way up to, sorry, let me do that again. Start at 0, work my way up to 6 inches, take another step, work my way up to 12 inches, one last step, works my way up to 18 inches, which is 1 foot 6 off the ground. I'm all set. And then Control S, save, and continue drawing.